Welcome to part 3 of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. And now for my second least favorite case in this entire game, Turnabout Sisters. I told you, this case is going to be hand-holding personified. Well, it's okay for the first case because it's getting you into the game. For the most part, it should have been more towards the first case than what it is. I mean, get all the tutorials that you need for the first case done. But however, this is practically the tutorial case as well, which is why I do not like it. However, this case is the introduction of Maya Fey, and also the send-off of Mia Fey in a few minutes. What's going on right here? Mia is calling Maya to hold on to evidence. Evidence that's placed within the Thinker statue. Yeah, remember that statue from the last case. Well, guess what? Capcom has two things. One, it loves irony, and two, it still don't know what the fuck subtlety is. Oh, don't believe me? Give it a moment. But right now, I'm telling you that we are still sort of in the tutorial stage of the game, even though this is the second level. And there is a lot, and I repeat, a lot of hand-holding in this case, which I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that is going to agree with me about it. Now, when we get to those parts, I'll actually let you know, because this case is going to be a lot longer than the first turnabout. And for good reason. Because of another mechanic that's going to be introduced as of this case. And that mechanic is the 3-day system. This case onward, you will have 3 days to not only prove your client innocent, but to actually find the guilty party before your client is literally thrown under the bus. Oh, and by the way, that conversation that Maya and Mia just had has just been wiretapped. No, I wish I was kidding, folks. And, of course, the person responsible for said wiretapping is in the office right now trying to attack Mia. Not trying to, he is going to attack Mia. And he beat Phoenix Wright and also beat Mia to the place. So therefore, unfortunately for us, she's about to fall and not get up. And yeah, remember that line. He said, gathering information is a part of my business. Remember that line, because it's going to come back to haunt the murderer. Speak of the devil, the murder's about to happen right now. And yeah, if you liked Mia Fey, well, you're gonna hate this asshole. Meet Wright. I didn't actually spoil this guy's name. Mia did, as soon as she died, because Capcom, what the fuck is subtlety? And now for that new mechanic that we are introduced to. In the first case, we were just thrusted into a trial and had to prove Larry's innocence. And we were actually introduced to the evidence system, presenting and pressing. However, now we're going to have to find our own evidence. We can't rely on the prosecution's office. Oh, trust me, not in this case. No. So unfortunately, we're going to have to make our move into the next office. So on that note, it would be in your best interest to get used to examining certain items as soon as you get the chance to do so, because unfortunately the second game requires you to examine everything, to not miss out on a single thing, because I think the last case of the second game depends on your thorough search. So get in the habit of examining everything as soon as you get the chance. And speaking of examining, Maya examined Mia's dead body, and unfortunately, there's, well, nothing else you could do. Maya's pretty much out without a sister, and that sucks. Even though she guided Phoenix towards a victory over Frank Saw It, and even put the dude in jail. So on that note, Mia is pretty much down for the count for good. Being smacked upside the head with a concrete statue would do that to you. Now, you can examine the statue. You can also examine the you can also examine the pieces of glass on the ground. But in order for it to continue, you will have to examine the body of Mia, much to your dismay. Oh, and this little incident here will piss off another character in the third game. Oh, when we get to that. Although that character is actually one of the better characters in the series, but it'll take a while for me to get to that game. Specifically because this is the longer of the three. Anyway, if you've examined Mia's body, then she'll end up dropping a piece of paper with the name Maya on it. Make sure you look at that. Well, that is going to be another batch of evidence, another piece of evidence that will be put in. It's also important because of what's on the back. Yeah, and also remember that it's a department store receipt. That's something you're going to have to pay attention to, because that's going to come in handy later on in this case. And you want to know what else is going to come in handy? Remembering that the phone was tampered with. Yeah, why do I say you have to remember that the phone was tampered with? Real simple. You're about to find out. But first, you can always examine the rest of the office. You might not get much information, or you might not get anything out of it, but unfortunately you'll have to examine the phone in order for it to proceed. That's the only way for you to actually proceed. But, as I said before, the phone was tampered with. In fact, the screws were literally coming out of the receiver, so you can't really answer it without, well, you can't really answer the phone without a receiver, or at least make a call for that matter. And just like that, somebody has beat you to the punch of calling the police. And this right here will let you know that this is some sort of setup. I mean, Capcom is not really subtle in that regard. And if you paid attention, you'll probably realize that this person and the guy who just smacked me upside the head are in cahoots. Well, first-time players haven't figured it out. But veterans of the series, or people who've played this game multiple times, they will. This is sort of a blink-and-you-miss-it moment. But nonetheless, Tits McGee here just called the police. And unfortunately, you can examine the whole entire room, but you're going to have to keep going. There's no other evidence here in this room. And for now, you're not going to be able to actually make a decent investigation. So you'll probably have to come back here way later. And by way later, I mean a totally different day. So we're going to have to move back into the Fay and Company Law Office in order to find out where's Maya. Maya is, unfortunately, well, she fainted at the sight of her dead sister, so I'm pretty sure she's probably up and about. And there she is. Ah, poor Maya. She is cute, and also she has one, well-known quirk about her. She happens to love burgers, even though translation-wise, it's actually ramen, but still. Burgers have became so much of a thing until Dual Destinies, or was it Spirit of Justice? Spirit of Justice, yes. She's actually seen eating a burger. But whatever the case, talk to Maya and find out what's going on. Because you could actually skip this part, or you could pretty much show her the receipt. I mean, yeah, you could literally skip talking to Maya, and the police will still show up anyway. Regardless, I would suggest talking to her, so at least you'll get a little bit of information of what's going on. But Mia wanted Maya to keep evidence for her. And unfortunately, you're going to have to present this receipt with her name written in blood. Ironically enough, that receipt just so happens to be, well, evidence, but not the evidence that she was keeping, but still. But whatever the case, the fact that Mia was trying to write her name in blood, the thing is, that right there, unfortunately, will cause a lot of confusion. And meet the source of said confusion. Detective Dick Gumshoe from the Department C redundant of the... God damn it, I messed that joke up. But still, Detective Gumshoe basically is the point of confusion, because he tends to rush in without thinking. There's sometimes he actually do think, but most of the time he rushes in without thinking, and if they want to try to put an end to a case, he'll do it. Like what's about to happen here. Unfortunately, Dick Gumshoe ended up meeting the person in the window before actually coming to the scene of the crime. And because of this, Maya is unfortunately in the wrong place at the wrong time. But more importantly, Maya has just been unfortunately framed for murder. Which, by the way, is a unfortunate running gag with Capcom. This happens at least once per game. And if I'm not mistaken, the most recent game, Spirit of Justice, it happens to her twice. Hell, it even happens in the Phoenix Wright Professor Layton crossover, but she's constantly blamed for murder. Jesus Christ, can this girl catch a break? Primarily, Turnabout Sisters is a gigantic kick the dog moment for Mia. And that's all, I mean, well, not just Mia, but Maya as well, but still, that's basically the whole gist of it. A gigantic kick the dog moment. So now that we're in the detention center, we're automatically going to be moved there no matter what. We're going to have to get to the root and the bottom of what's going on. And we're going to have to talk to Maya. In fact, nobody actually believed her. Well, almost nobody. So, that means, Phoenix is going to eventually have to, well, be her lawyer. Duh, we're not going to be able to do this until we actually... Let me put it like this. We're not going to be able to do this until we actually move forward, but not to mention, we're not going to be able to be her lawyer. Okay, sorry, I messed that up. I screwed up. I meant to say, we're not going to be able to progress the game unless we actually solve this case. Which, unfortunately... it doesn't matter what you choose here, it all is going to continue the story regardless. But I'm going to put, of course I will. But, like I said, no matter what you choose, she's still going to be sad. And, she's pretty much going to be depressed. So at that point, we're still going to have to talk to her. But get used to hearing this song, because, like I said, this is an ongoing thing. Oh, and she's also heard about us. Unfortunately, while we did good saving Larry from murder, or should I say saving Larry from prison, and we actually had to BS our way through that, there's one thing Mia had to say about us that unfortunately will be proven wrong by the end of this case. Well, almost get proven wrong. And that one thing is to wait till 3 years for him to be better unless you want to be found guilty. Wow, that's kind of a low blow there, Mia. That's really a low blow. But whatever the case. There's nothing we can actually do for the time being, but we're still going to have to talk to her for a little bit beforehand. So let's go on ahead and do that. Eventually, we'll be forced to move somewhere else, but for right now... Oh, and the only reason why I have this paused is because of the fact that, well, 10-minute mark. But, as it stands, I should mention something about Maya and her outfit. You see, Maya, Mia, and many of the Fae clan come from a village known as Incarnate. Incarnate Village is a trading ground for spirit mediums, and all the women in the Incarnate Village have the ability to use spiritual powers to talk to the dead. Basically, they're psychics. And you've seen psychics used in crime scenes in certain TV shows. But here, she's the real thing. Herein lies the problem. The whole, point about why Mia is here in the first place has a lot to do with her village. But unfortunately, her phone just got confiscated before we could actually reveal all that information. So we're going to have to get that back. And unfortunately, the guy who has it is Gumshoe. So we will have to at least go to Gumshoe and get the phone back. However, we'll just hand the note over to we'll just get a memo from Maya to hand over to Gumshoe. That way we'll be able to find out what's going on. And we can't actually find out the day I think we can find out the day of the crime. Yeah, we can actually. But the phone would actually shed some more light to the details. So we will still have to talk to Maya about what's going on. But as soon as we showed up, however, the lamp that was lighting the lights was destroyed and Maya was dead. And so we need to talk about her spirit medium pass. Seeing as how the Faye family is world-renowned spiritual mediums, it's a damn shame that they have a dark past towards themselves. And of course, that would also explain why Maya was wearing a magatama around her neck, because of where she came from. Now, remember what he asked. Can she contact Maya's spirit? For now, she can't. However, bear in mind that's probably one of the reasons why I do not like this case. That's probably the subject of hand-holding. Now, we're going to end up having to use this address in order to find a trusted friend of Maya, so that way a trusted friend of Maya, so Maya will have somebody to represent her by 4 o'clock. Oh, if you refuse, that's an automatic game over, so accept by any means necessary if you want to proceed with plot. Now, depending on whether you go find this lawyer or not, the dialogue will change. However, I am going to have to end this part here. Because guess what? We're going to have to spend the next part trying to not only scramble to find a lawyer, but also have to talk to this witness about what's going on. Now we have till 4, and if they gave Maya a state-picked witness, a state-picked defense lawyer, that's what I meant to say, well, things would go straight to hell. Instantly. Meaning, yeah, we're going to have no choice but to defend her eventually. But for the time being, I'm going to end it here. In part 4, we're going to be looking for Grossberg, but we're going to try to get her phone back from Detective Gumshoe, and again, we're going to try to find out what's going on with that witness. Oh boy. In basically 2 parts, we'll probably finish day 1. Yeah, I did mention something about this being a 3-day thing. This is RP Man 985. See you guys next time, and peace out.